Welcome to Simple Life Fables, where we explore the profound journeys of ordinary people, discovering extraordinary truths within their daily lives. In a small, humble village, nestled between rolling green hills, lived a young and curious boy named Amun with his family. Amun was a bright child who observed the world with keen eyes, always wondering about the secrets behind the adult world. His father, Mohan, was a hard-working farmer who possessed a routine that seemed impossible to the young and sleepy Amun. Every single day, without fail, the clock would strike 5, and Mohan would already be awake, ready to start his day. What puzzled Amun the most was not the early hour, but the genuine smile that always graced his father's tired face. Amun would watch from under his warm blanket, wondering how anyone could leave such comfort to face the cold, dark morning. The work in the fields was grueling and physically demanding, yet Mohan moved with a rhythm that suggested inner peace. One afternoon, unable to hold back his curiosity, Amun asked his father why he chose to wake up before the sun. Mohan simply smiled and told his son that the morning holds a special power that can only be felt, not explained. Determined to understand this secret power, Amun decided that he too would wake up at 5 the very next morning. When the alarm rang, the reality of 5 in the morning hit him hard. It was dark, silent, and freezing. He tried to push the blanket away, but his body felt heavy as lead and his eyelids refused to stay open. The cold floor sent a shock through his small feet, making the warm comfort of his bed feel like a trap. He attempted to move his body, but he felt weak and clumsy, lacking the energy his father always seemed to have. Defeated by the cold and fatigue, Amun sat on the floor, wondering if he was simply not strong enough for this. The next morning, he failed to wake up entirely, opening his eyes only when the bright sun was already high up. He saw his father returning for breakfast, having already accomplished so much while Amun had been lost in his dreams. A sense of inadequacy filled his heart as he wandered through the village, feeling that he lacked the necessary willpower. Seeking answers, Amun made his way to the old village temple, where a wise sage, known as Guruji, often meditated. The Guruji sat with eyes closed, radiating a calmness that seemed to silence the noise of the world around him. Amun approached respectfully and sat down, waiting for the wise man to acknowledge his presence and answer his burning questions. When the sage opened his eyes, Amun poured out his heart, explaining his failed attempts to wake up like his father. He asked why his father chose such a difficult path, and if the only purpose was to do more work. The wise Guruji smiled gently and shook his head, pointing to a young sapling breaking through the hard, dry earth. He explained that waking up early is not merely about adding hours to your work, but about mastering your mind. At 5 in the morning, the world is silent, and this silence allows you to hear the voice of your soul. When you conquer the desire to sleep, you are winning the first battle of the day against your own laziness. It is a daily practice of discipline that strengthens your will, preparing you to face greater challenges in life. True strength does not come from physical muscles, but from the heart and the will to choose action over comfort. Amun looked at his hands and realized that his failure was not physical weakness, but a lack of mental resolve. He walked back home as the sun set, carrying a new understanding and a renewed determination to try once again. That night, he prepared everything he needed, treating the upcoming morning not as a chore, but as a sacred mission. When 5 o'clock arrived, Amun opened his eyes instantly, refusing to let the negotiating voice in his head speak. He threw off the covers and stood up immediately, silencing the comfort-seeking part of his brain with decisive action. The cold water on his face no longer felt like a punishment, but like a refreshing wake-up call to life. Stepping into the darkness, he saw his father's silhouette in the distance. a silent guardian of the early morning hours. Ammon began to move, running slowly around the yard, filling his lungs with the purest air of the day. The initial heaviness of his limbs faded away, replaced by a surging energy that seemed to come from nowhere. He paused to look up at the sky, witnessing the magical transition from the starry night to the blue dawn. In this solitude, he finally understood the gift the sage had spoken of. The world was his, quiet and waiting. Days turned into weeks, and what began as a struggle slowly transformed into a cherished ritual of strength and discipline. He began to use this time not just for exercise, but to read and learn while his mind was sharpest. The discipline of the morning began to shape his character, making him more confident, focused, and resilient in everything. One crisp morning, as Ammon was finishing his routine, he felt a presence and turned to see his father watching. Mohan's eyes were filled with a profound pride, seeing that his young son had unlocked the secret of self-mastery. They stood together in silence, two men of different generations, bonded by the shared discipline of the early morning. His father placed a hand on his shoulder, a silent gesture that spoke louder than any words of praise could. Ammon realized that the greatest power in life comes from the silent battles we win when no one is watching. Years passed, and Ammon grew into a successful man. But he never abandoned the lesson he learned in the village. No matter where life took him, the early morning remained his sanctuary, his source of strength and clarity. He often thought back to his father's smile and the sage's wisdom, grateful for the guidance that shaped his destiny. Back in the village, Ammon didn't keep this secret to himself. He began to inspire his friends to join him. Soon, a small group of children could be seen running through the morning mist, building a generation of strong minds. From the temple, the old Guruji watched them with satisfaction, knowing that the seeds of discipline had been successfully planted. They learned that discipline is not a punishment to be endured, but a pathway to true freedom and self-control. Just as a rough stone must be polished to shine, our character must be refined through the friction of effort. The bond between Ammon and his father grew deeper, rooted in their shared understanding of hard work and sacrifice. Ammon once asked if his father ever wanted to sleep in, and Mohan laughed, admitting that the temptation never truly disappears. He explained that the victory lies not in the absence of struggle, but in choosing to overcome it every single day. The village thrived, and the harvest was bountiful, mirroring the internal harvest of strength that Ammon was gathering within himself. Standing amidst the golden fields, Ammon felt a deep connection to the earth and the rhythm of life itself. When other challenges appeared in his life, Ammon faced them with the same calm resolve he used to face the morning cold. He understood that willpower is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger and more reliable it becomes. Ammon began to document his journey, wanting to preserve these lessons for future generations who might lose their way. His journal sat beside the old clock, two silent witnesses to the transformation of a boy into a man of substance. Looking in the mirror, he no longer saw a tired, confused boy, but a person capable of shaping his own destiny. His story spread quietly, and people came to ask how such a young man possessed such an unbreakable spirit. He would simply tell them that the secret lies in that split second when you want to quit, but don't. 3 figures defined his journey: a hardworking father, a wise sage, and the boy who dared to conquer himself. If you seek change, do not wait for a grand moment. Start with the small, silent victory of waking up. Let the morning sun be a reminder that every day is a new opportunity to be stronger than you were yesterday. Ammon's journey teaches us that the path to greatness is paved with early mornings and the triumph of the will. May you find your own strength in the quiet hours, and may your spirit rise as surely as the morning sun. Thank you for watching this story on Simple Life Fables. Subscribe to join us on more journeys of wisdom and growth.